Hey there, this is John, your lovable GM, and you're listening to Demon Dayz, an actual play podcast where they focus on fiends and the friends who play them. Want to quick give a shout out to our sponsor Arknight, whose props, maps, and minis make our table a delight. They've been with us since the beginning, and we love them oh so much. Also want to give a shout out to KiloWhat, who's done the artwork for our show. Our heroes have never looked so good. We'll put all those links in the show notes. And lastly, I want to thank you, our listeners, for being so patient with us as we continue on our bi-weekly schedule. I promise we'll be back to our regular weekly programming very soon, and we'll keep you up to date in all our socials. Without further ado, let's jump into the game, shall we?
Friends, fiends, I stand before you because apparently this tavern doesn't have any fucking chairs. Like, what the hell, man? I walked a full day's journey at a standard walking pace to get here. That's like miles or something. Ugh. While you figure this mess out, let me fill you in on what happened last time. Our heroes, having explored the Fallhood and found it more or less to their liking, took a lift deeper into the mountain to find a dormant titan. Exciting, huh? Now why don't you do me a favor and go find a fucking chair so I can tell you the rest of these Demon Dayz.
With a protesting shriek of gears and metal, the lift begins its descent from Fallhold into the Underdark. Just as your heads clear the ground of your mysterious new headquarters, a thought occurs to all of you at once. In the hustle and bustle of exploring and fighting off vicious corpse plants, you left Flotsam on board the train. Now, given that they never attempted to catch up with you, or reach out or say, hello, anyone? It's probably safe to assume that they're on a default pattern and they're just going to probably start wandering any moment now with a very default set of routines. You can, of course, stop the lift. This is very mechanical, very analog. You know, you can stop it, lift it back up, and you can go make more specific instructions before we go further, or you can leave it as is and see what the Modron gets up to later.
Do you think he'd, clean the stronghold while we're out? Do you think that's, a thing he does? I don't know.
I mean, he probably could, but here's the... do we need to tell him? Do we all just think of this at the same time?
Yes, it's very unified. A unified thought across all time and space in this moment.
Well, I mean, I think he's fine, right? He's probably fine.
Of course. I'm sure it...
We're definitely having him clean shit as soon as we get back from doing this. Speaking of which, Yusuf, I know you don't know much, but... what's our operating orders here? What do you think?
I was just told that I need to plant the tree seed in the hand of the Titan.
Okay.
I even asked if I needed to plant it a certain direction, but I was told I would know, so...
Copy for the knowing when we get there. So, gang, I did get some interesting messages in the journal. I don't think we got a chance to discuss. Fee wrote to Igni in the group chat, and said, lovely dearest, what did you put in my lap? Which I believe is a reference to your little one. And then, more disconcerting, Igni wrote to me and said, taters to the princess. And I believe that's some poor attempted rhyming slang to mean possibly dissipate her?
Yeah, I can reread it for you, just since we've been a little way.
Yeah.
The note itself says, written with the apostrophe for slang, taters. I think we have a hot potato on our hands. Good thing I entrusted the baby with the princess. By that, I mean fucking hells.
Taters. So, do we think that Dispater is going after your... Who's this kid? Taz. Jesus. So Belial's lineage, right? That's what we're thinking?
Well, and before you get down too far, the taters is simply a localism.
Oh, a localism. Oh, oopsies.
Yeah. The hot potato is more of the hot item. Igni is not very good at the localisms, and she tries them.
Okay.
So the Pater's Taters is kind of a bit cringe, but it gets the point across, like hell's bells.
Oh, like it. Oh, yeah, like fucking Satan's ballsack is what she's saying. Okay.
Right, exactly. So just as a clarifying point, so it doesn't think that there's an evil potato on your guys' future as the big bad, the big bad spud.
So then what was after Pater's Taters? Because I wrote that down big in my notes.
Pater's Taters. So is that equivalent to like Jupiter's cock?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
Pater's Taters. I'm gonna start saying it now. Now it's done.
Is there a tater salad running around in this universe?
Oh, tater salad.
He caught me.
Oh my god.
He caught the tater.
His little thing tater tot.
Very possibly.
Oh, Jesus.
Right. Okay. Well, fuck. Maybe when we get out of here, we gotta actually get to High Point and sort shit.
Well, somebody's definitely coming after little thing.
Yeah.
There was a dead body last time I checked in and dancing, which makes me wonder what's happening.
Oh boy.
And what your family is possibly teaching him.
Look, now, I turned out okay, right? Like, there are worse ways to grow up.
I mean, yeah.
Really? Come on, Sonny. I saw you roll your eyes, Sonny. I saw you roll your eyes. It's very rude.
No judgment here.
Well, fuck. Do you think the Titan's got a jetpack, or do we think that maybe that we could get that teleportation working?
I'm sure if I spend enough time, there's several teleportation rings in that laboratory, so I'm sure if I spend enough time, I could get one or multiple open. I still have the symbols for the one, but it would be different symbols for Skypoint. I might have a way to get those, though.
Yeah, me too. Interesting. All right, well, goddamn, this is a big elevator.
Okay. It went on for hours. No, you guys were still kind of in that stopped point where you were discussing back and forth about Flotsam. So I haven't assumed that you've pulled back to keep going down, or are you still going down?
Oh, yeah. I would have kicked it back into going down.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, I didn't think we stopped.
Yeah, I didn't either. I thought we were still going.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. We had the thought, and then we're like, meh. He's probably fine.
It's not a very fast lift. And yeah, it continues to make its way down into the darkness below, taking from where your conversation is and maybe a little bit past 5 or 6 minutes past that point before not so gently reaching the ground. It's more of a slam into the ground versus a gentle cushion. Like, for as slow as it went, it just kind of dropped the last, foot with a bit of a jolt. Yeah. A great lift that's not been used for a long time.
Was there, a little crinking of gears that happened?
Yeah. Like, it tried to decide. It was like, are we gonna gently glide down? No, just skip the last 3 or 4 rungs. Da-da-da-da.
Get the journal out and just Flotsam to-do list, oil the lift. Just put it back in there.
Now, immediately in this area around the lift, it is finally carved into the rock. So this was built. This part was built and carved in. There are still some designs that are reminiscent of the motifs in Fallhold. But beyond where you are in the lift, the path just starts to look carved and hewn for what's available. So from here on, everything is just wild Underdark. The influence of Fallhold ends as soon as you step out of this lift and move forward.
I'm going to draw my sword so that the blade's power is protecting us as we're walking through.
Okay. Now, the thing about the Underdark in general is that it's quite unfriendly to all but its own inhabitants or seasoned explorers. Many have tried to map out major routes and highways, only to be stymied when it came time to actually test their handiwork and either return or find a good way around. That's not to say that the Underdark is unfair. If you go west long enough, you're going to reach a destination that's west. Likewise, if you go east, you're going to reach somewhere that's east, north and south, all that. You're going to get where you need to go, but it just might take more time than anticipated. And there's always something down here that would distract you from the journey at hand. That's where it'll take you probably the most time in your travels. Let's start with the first leg of the journey. So you get to about 8 hours of travel. It's not terrible terrain. You see a lot of bioluminescence around you with various fungi and algae, and there's a low light to everything. But your dark vision is still working. after about roughly that 8-hour end of things, you start to tire a bit. And Feder, you know from looking at your compass and time, the compass is still doing all right. It's not spinning, but it's also turning a little bit more than you would expect. It's trying to keep up a little bit more with you guys, more so than above ground or even at the fall hold.
Mm-hmm. Has it been level, John, or is it kind of up and down? Like, what's the general vibe?
Varied, but not by too much. So mostly level.
I'm gonna do just kind of like a general eye for detail check for the walk and see if there's any clues or anything special that jumps out at me on the walk.
Okay.
Ooh, not great. 14.
14?
Mm-hmm.
For this first leg, you don't notice anything too out of the ordinary. It seems that this area is a little bit less occupied by any creatures. You still do notice off to the side some myconids and smaller plant life that move and scurry about, little creatures that don't really register too much as a threat or anything that would be distracting enough. They just seem to sense you and move along. They know that they're not very high in this relative chain of combat skill and what have you. You do see towards the end, though, when you get to the end of the hours, you start to see hints off to the side of camps. There's just some rocks put together, a few indentations.
Does anything in those camps look Drogar, like the other, like our little friends from before? Any tools or clothing or trash?
From where you guys are in your path, you haven't diverted off to check. You'd have to do an investigation over there to see.
Mm-hmm.
All you can tell from where you guys are in your path is that it looks like there was once a camp there, and that maybe any number of people might have been there or things.
Right, so it's like down on a lower level or off to the side. It's not like directly in front of us.
Right, it's not directly in the path. It's a little bit of a diversion, not by a whole lot, but just enough to where you'd have to veer off a little bit to determine it.
Well, what do we think, gang? Time for a nap? See who's been hanging out here before, or do we press on?
We'd possibly make use of one of these camps that were here already. Is there any type of bedding or anything, John?
There's no bedding there, just the
stones and
yeah.
Okay. Well, let me pop down and see if anything makes itself apparent, and maybe we rest here. And I will stealth my way towards wherever we're going.
Okay.
Ooh, look, it's a natural 20.
Nice.
Into the shadows.
Yeah, no, you are not seen.
Bat! Sorry.
Yeah, you are not seen as you explore around what was once a camp. And as you get closer, you can see that there are some footprints on the ground. They're not as wide set as you would expect a Duragars to be. So you've got some thinner width feet, and they're a little bit more armored. Well, they would be about the same armored, but the foot doesn't match to you in your mind as Duragar. And you only see a few of those prints around. So whoever these were, there wasn't a whole bunch of them. It looks like maybe more of a scouting route than anything else.
Okay, coat of dust on stuff, or does everything look used recently? Like I'll do the old butler check. White glove butler check.
The butler check. Yes. Get your butler tools out there and roll for Alfred.
Oh, sure. I am definitely proficient in snobbishness. 15.
There's not much dust, so it looks newish, relatively speaking. So
all right.
You might not be too far behind a regular scouting party.
Right on. I'll kind of wave everybody down. Hey, so looks like this is a regular stop on the old route. So it's not dusty and crusty. Someone's been here fairly recently. So if we do decide to stop here, we should definitely keep our heads on a swivel.
Have our heads ever stopped being on a swivel?
Well, that's true. But so do we think here's something a little less conspicuous?
How open is the area around it?
It seems to be a diversion that goes down into a little bit of a valley, a small valley that's got some rocks surrounding it. So it's kind of a cutout little cove. So you don't have much on many sides, and you can see upward. The only disadvantage there would just be that you don't have height, but you've got mainly one area to keep track of versus a whole open space. So,
I mean, tactically, it seems fairly sound. Might as well.
Sure, why not? I think we're just definitely going to have to keep a good watch, yeah?
Seems clear.
Smokes out, pass the flask around. I'll take first watch since I don't have any tricks.
Okay. Taz, do you want first or second or last?
I'll take second since I'm going to be up reading some of these books.
Okay. I will take last then, and I'll find a spot to hunker down in.
Sure. Which then leads us to Feder. If you want to do, given where you are, you may have to move about, get back up onto your main path a bit, and check that area out a little bit. So it's a little bit more active than just circling the camp. You'd have to get up out of this little alcove and keep a watch up there.
Sure.
But other than that, it's just your basic perception or investigation roll.
Yeah, I'll hop up there and hide someplace where I can see on a little perch. So that's, dueling 14s. So 21 on the stealth check, and perception is a 23.
Okay, let's see. So while you're doing that, that leaves Taslinn and Yusuf. Yusuf, you said you hunkered down a bit. Taslinn, you're going to be reading. If there's anything else you're going to do during this section of the watch, now would be the time. Otherwise, give me kind of a window maybe when you fall asleep.
Yusuf's going to go to sleep fairly quickly, or at least he'll try to.
He's basically classic soldier. He puts his head down and he's asleep.
Somebody wake up, Ix.
And then, Taslinn, you mentioned you were going to go through some of the books.
Yeah, because last time I read Adept Arcanum, and so this time I'm going to go through Abjuration Demystified.
Cool. And as you go through the book itself, the thing that stood up before when you skimmed it back in the library was that it has banishment. So this would be probably the focus of what I'm assuming you're interested in.
Absolutely. That will be incredibly helpful since we no longer have the staff or Lesa.
Yeah. So you'll notice this section is particularly dense. So it will take you a little bit of time. This is all the theory, all the foundational concepts, beginner, intermediate, challenging. Like, it's got everything. This is a godsend almost. It's everything you need, but it will take some time.
So it's a physics textbook, essentially.
Pretty much, yeah. Mm-hmm. So it just depends on how much of your sleep you don't want to have, at least in this first leg. And as long as you get 8 hours, you should be good. And yeah, so then the watch continues on. Feder, you are hidden, and you've got a good perception going on. So as it's getting closer to the end of this, Taslinn, maybe roll perception with disadvantage. I know when I'm reading in bed and it's late, at the end of it, I'm rereading pages. I'm
already not good at perception, so it's not a strong suit for sure of hers. She's much more like, oh, fuck, you're kidding me. My first roll was an 11. My second roll was a nat 20.
Well, either way, it's still good.
So I'm not great. It would have been 23 versus a 14, so 14 for perception.
Yeah, at some point, you're starting on the downward slope of the dose. You're starting to lose things, but then you hear or feel some jostling about, and you see Sunny trying her best to sneak up out of the camp. She doesn't look too suspicious or anything. She's just trying not to wake anybody. But she is making her way up out of the camp, and as she gets to about the top, the main road, Feder, you notice this, and you notice it pretty quickly. She starts to shed her clothes and toss them aside, and then make a stretching like she's about ready to do a jog or some sort of athletics preparation. Mm-hmm. And you see before your eyes, she morph and turn into the shape of a dire wolf. And she moves about, goes over to her clothes and sniffs them, sniffs around the area, and she's trotting off. And you would maybe do a...
Perhaps insight?
Insight, yeah. Insight's probably better.
You gotta juice them stats. 21.
It looks very scouting in nature. Mm-hmm. Looks more like not so much trying to get away, but more so, I want to see what's up with this area.
Sure.
Especially given that she turned into a direwolf form. She's probably not experienced enough herself traveling down here that she wants to aid herself with scent and tracking.
Well, looks like second watch to me, and I hop down. And head down to bed.
Okay.
Who's next? Taz, you still up?
Yep.
All right, well, looks like Sunny's running laps. If you want to keep your nose in a book, just stay aware, yeah?
Absolutely.
As her eyes dart side to side, making sure no one's...
No, I quite literally say that without ever looking up from the book.
And I'll just lean against the wall next to Taslinn and nod off.
Okay, cool. So then, Taslinn, it's your turn. I would, depending on how you want to play this, you'll do the perception check if you're going to go up onto the path the same way that Feder did, because that's where you'll be able to see out and around. You don't have much visibility down here in terms of things approaching or walking through or coming through. So you would need to go up to do that. But if you stay there, you don't have to do any checks. You just wouldn't know if anything was happening. And we'll go from there.
So my question actually is more along the lines of, I know I've never been in the Underdark, but would Nax have talked to me about it a little bit or no?
I guess roll history. Let's see if he has.
My history is 18.
A little bit. He's talked to you a little bit about it. Not to the extent of, like, Charlieton over at the Varosh Day, where it's just like, it was a terrible place, or the drow were all terrible. It's more like, cautionary things, like don't stray too far from camp, things like that. Always keep a watch out, because there are more than just drow and Duragar and Surf Neblin and things like that down here. There was a caution to be a bit more watchful, because it's easier to see a threat in the city, ironically enough, than it is down here in the Underdark. But that's just from his perspective.
I guess with that in mind, she might go up to I might go up to the path briefly, maybe spend like 20 minutes up there, and then that's about it. I wouldn't spend the whole watch up there.
Okay, so then, so roll perception for it, just to see if there's anything that comes to mind, anything that stands out to you.
16.
At around the end of your 20 minutes up there, you do notice a few little purplish bioluminescent mushroom things wobbling. The only way I can describe it is a mother duck and her ducklings. Kind of just, they're moving off the side at a very slow pace, and that takes more of your attention. And the mother mushroom, for lack of a better way to put it, looks in your direction, tilts almost at about a 90 degree, and then tilts back and then starts to wobble off with the other little fungi in check. And that's about it. This area seems fairly quiet, relatively, as far as you can tell.
That was absolutely adorable. She would be drawing that in her journal.
And then, your watch comes to a close, uneventful. Still no Sunny, though.
Okay. I'll go kick Yusuf awake. Lightly kick. Lovingly kick. But kick.
Kapow!
Kick.
It's your go. Yep, you're up. Sunny's out. That's a word for it.
Out.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd she go?
Don't know.
All right. Yusuf will get up, and he'll probably go up to go up top as well, next to the road, and just kind of chill there.
I'll go lay down next to where Feder perched himself and put my head in his lap. Pass out.
All right. And then Yusuf, if you're going to do a check, just do the perception check. Get a feel for how you're going to observe the time.
Oh, it's not shitty, actually. 17.
Somewhere around probably halfway through your watch, you do hear some scuttling about, like paws on stone moving about. You get ready you think this might be a threat when you do see a direwolf appear. And if they communicated with you that Sunny changed, then you don't have to worry about it. But if they didn't...
She didn't.
Only Feder saw that, and he didn't tell me, and I did not see it. So all I told him was Sunny's out.
So then, Yusuf, you see a direwolf limp over to a pile of clothes that are sitting at the top of this and grab them with their mouth, and they head back off into the distance. And then maybe, 5 minutes pass, and then you see Sunny come in. She doesn't really look you in the eye so much. She just starts to head down to the camp to finish out her rest. So that's near about the halfway point of your watch.
Okay. I'll keep a focus on the way that she came from, just in case anything was tracking her back.
Okay. Do another perception. I'd say with advantage, just because you've been kind of put onto a more of a higher alert.
Okay. I rolled double 17s, so 18.
In a different direction, you do sense something watching, but it's fleeting and momentary, and then it disappears. But nothing from the way she came. But maybe if she came from 12 o'clock, it probably would have been more along the lines of 8 or 9-ish, leaving the rest of your watch uneventful.
Okay. You may.
And then, your watch comes to a close, leaving you guys roughly around 5 or 6-ish in the morning, thereabouts. And you all get up at roughly around the same time.
Does like the did I notice, does the bioluminescence seem to cycle at all, or is it just like it's always looks like there's night lights on in here?
It's sort of like those night lights, yeah, like you said, but they have like the sensors on them. So like a speck of dust or a rock gets in there, it's just going to be brighter for a little bit and maybe lessen. And your guys' movement seems to also affect the local bioluminescence around you. So yeah, it's hard to tell a time other than your watch.
I'm gonna do my favorite thing in the day.
All right.
Scry.
Yep. Pull out my crystal ball. Same thing, Cheshire little thing. You've got you've got a minus 15 for Cheshire, plus 5 for little thing.
Jesus.
Yeah, Daddy Dearest can't get away from me.
So for little thing, let's start with him, because also you like him better. You eventually see in your crystal ball a rather expansive, multi-floored library that's mostly empty of people, save for your little brother, poring over a messy pile of books. He only seems to be checking out, though, the excessively violent and horrific images. And as you watch him turn page after page, kind of like, oh, this is so cool, or oh, ugh.
He better not be becoming a little serial killer, like seriously.
Oh, yeah. Blood face paint. Here we go.
Yeah, no, it seems like a childlike fascination with violence and violent images and monsters. But yeah, that seems to be the only thing going on there. There's no staff in the room or anything like that. This is a pretty nice library.
There was a moment at the beginning where like her heart got super warm and she was like, oh, because, you know, library books and then violent images and just eye roll going, really? You're going to take after Dad? Like, that's where you're going to go? Okay. All right. Fine. Yep. Whatever.
Yeah. And if there were a soundtrack, the music would just swell as the camera gets closer to him and starts to lift up a bit to see what he's looking at. And you're like, oh, your heart is just swelling. And then it's an owlbear completely eviscerating another owlbear, like pulling out its spine and ripping out innards, and depictions of what that might look like. Like, oh, there's the digestive tract, there's the stomach, and maybe another stomach. Who knows? We haven't. This book isn't necessarily going for accuracy so much as gore.
Brutal imagery, just Kool-Aid manned into the heartfelt moment. Got it.
Oh, yeah.
So then, moving over to Cheshire, you see that the view shows on him looking through a folded piece of paper. And he's looking at it, examining it, and then looking up and out. And you are able to a little bit follow his gaze. And it looks like a place that should be condemned. On the ground level, there's this tavern, and the building kind of leans a bit. And you see clientele come and go that might have been seedy 30 or 40 years ago. But these are too old to really be the seedy part of town. They're just old rogues, old criminals who have found a place to retire with their drink. You also see atop of this tavern a ramshackle building that seems like just a shack placed directly on top of this tavern with no real care to it maintaining any sense of connectivity. But you see that your father turns toward an alley and finds a ladder, a rickety ladder going up. And he just shrugs and starts to climb it. Once or twice he missteps and he falls a couple times. And you get a little bit of karmic like, haha.
I just laugh. Hearty laugh. Just chuckle. Yep. Serves you right.
But none deterred, he gets up there eventually. And as he goes through, there's not a door in this apartment. He pushes through some beads. And you see a very bookish-looking furbolg with huge spectacles and hair that she continually keeps pinning back to keep it out of her eyes. And in front of her sits a crystal ball that has some dings and scratches on it. He looks from the paper to her and starts to ask her, is this the place? And he switches when he realizes that it's a she. He gets into kind of a flirtatious mode.
Fucking course.
But you know his eyes are more on the crystal ball
fucking
than
course.
anything else.
Yep.
And as your vision fades out, maybe not 5 minutes after that, I need you to roll a wisdom save.
Is he trying to scry on me?
Yeah.
I'm still wearing the ring of mind shielding, and for whatever reason, I keep thinking that it protects me from being scryed on, but that's not true.
not quite.
It's an amulet of proof against detection.
Damn it. You said wisdom?
Wisdom, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Keeping in mind.
I know. He has... I also have a negative 15 for him.
Oh, yeah.
23.
With a negative 15, you rolled a 23?
Well, no, that's my roll, so then he would minus 15, so that would be...
Oh.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah, so then it would be 8.
Okay.
So, of course, like, the second I see, he gets all flirty, and I'm like, fuck, of course you would do that. Like, that's so you. And then I see the crystal ball, and I'm like, oh, no. No, don't you dare. No. And then it fades, and I'm just, like, shaking the crystal ball, like, no.
Wow. And so, given this, you don't have true sight, do you?
No, I do not. Not yet.
Okay. If anything, there is a moment where you feel maybe the hairs on your arm stand a little bit, and you feel like, given the logic of what you just saw in the vision, that you might be in a state of observation for a short period of time.
If only there was someone in the party who could see things that are invisible.
Well, sorry, I wasn't even thinking about it. Taz, are you within 10 feet of me while you're doing this?
I mean, I'm where we woke up, so yeah. So all you see is me just, like, put the crystal ball down on the ground and start walking around, flipping the bird to, like, the air. Just in circles. I don't know where it is. I'm just flipping the bird.
Wow, really, huh?
Taz?
Is that all you do, or do you actually say anything too? Because these have audio and visual components.
Oh gosh, she's just like, you know what? I guess it's fair because I've been looking in on you too, but it really, seriously, after all this time, you rat bastard.
Oh, Pops? Is this?
Oh yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Are we on?
Yep.
Are we
Pops?
live on the air?
I'm pretty sure.
Wonderful.
I look between the two of them, like, with my sword in hand, like, what's going on?
You gonna show up and be helpful anytime?
Now I'm going to do an eye for detail check, John.
Okay.
16.
Well, I'm still
on
just
the
doing,
die.
like, the dance around the camp.
Means 25.
25. In the location itself, you don't necessarily notice anything that would indicate that there was an element of espionage or scrying or anything like that.
I don't see any visual distortions or anything created by it.
Because you can see invisibility, right, Feder? When you do that?
Yeah, like when I do that, I can see things that are hidden or invisible.
I think you can see the sensor. Hold on. It's a sensor. Hold on, I'm looking up the spell. A creature that can see invisible objects sees the sensor as a luminous orbs about the size of your fist. So
okay.
You can see the sensor.
Yeah, you see not quite exactly where she was scrying, but kind of following her, a light sensor, basically an orb just moving about her, turning, examining in its limited space that it can around Taslinn.
So I want to move around from it and take a moment to hide myself.
Okay.
That's it's 17.
17? Okay.
Yep. And then I'm going to take Mom's dagger and I'm going to chuck it at the sensor because it is the one of my daggers I know is magical. And that is a 18 to hit.
Okay. It goes through and you do see that the sensor itself disappears and fades away.
Well, fun.
The entire time I was just, like, bitching, being like, really, right now, you rat bastard, like, you've been gone for 12 fucking years, and you just decide that you want to check in on your wonderful little daughter? How about and I'm just, like, going on.
And then a dagger flies past her.
And it goes boink. Well, that should solve that for a minute.
Thanks. Appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
What is happening?
What's good for the gander is certainly good for the goose, apparently.
My dad decided to take a page from my book and look in on me.
Oh.
Very exciting. Well, it's fair. You do it every day.
I do.
I walk over and pick up Feder's dagger and hand it back to him.
Thank you. Wonder what he thinks of this nondescript cave. More importantly, I think, though, if we are known or wanted by any sort of ne'er-do-well, I'm sure he will happily sell that information out to the highest bidder.
No, he wouldn't sell information about me. I know that for sure.
No? Okay. Well, I'm not saying you necessarily. I'm thinking more of the other two of us. We've got the runaway Mephistopheles Highguard and Dis's favorite son. Ding. Yeah, anyway. Well, shall we be on? We've got a seed to plant. And I wink at Sunny.
Quick before that, Taslinn, roll quick history.
18.
A thought does cross your mind that there was letters that you sent out
Yeah.
that may have either arrived by now or not. Depending on how you want to approach that, it would just be another similar roll in your scry. But other than that, as Feder nods to Sunny, she starts to get up. So it's up to you. There's a brief moment before everyone's ready to just head on out.
Dusting myself off with the pen, doing a little shave.
I kind of like look at the crystal briefly and then side eye towards Feder briefly and then go back to the crystal ball and just go, oh, yeah, fucking, all right, fine. And so I'll go over to the crystal and be like, hold on, let me check one more thing.
Yeah, okay.
And I will do a scry on Nax.
Okay.
He would be, oh shit, I gotta figure out what his modifiers would be. He would be minus 15 too.
Yeah, getting into the negative numbers there. Okay. Yeah, the vision shows deep within what you would know as kind of his main place of residence in Sky Point. And you see him at his desk, leaning back, feet on the table, puffing away on the smoke, reading through the letter you sent, just going over it, looking off a bit wistfully, looking at the also nearby drawings of a robe that you know that your father's wearing now, just kind of percolating on all the recent events that had happened. But then hearing from you, you get a sense if you want to roll some insight.
Haha, my bread and butter. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. That's apparently my dice like 18 today. That's another 18.
Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of nostalgia in his face. A face that you've looked at quite a bit. There's a lot of nostalgia mixed with some regret and some bittersweet moments. He was very expressive, that one, and you catch all that. Mm-hmm. And that's where the vision for him ends.
Okay. All right. Well, he got it. And I put the crystal away in bag of holding and get ready to go.
Yeah. So then all y'all get ready, pack up, and start to move out.
Yeah. Sonny, where'd you jog off to last night? As we're walking.
Oh, just trying to see if we've been followed or if there was a camp further ahead. Also to see if there was any food. And she's like, oh, yes. She pulls out her bag and shows you guys some meat in there. It's like, it's not great, but we can work with it if we need to for food, cooking, roasting, things like that. Found some animals and she looks in her bag, a bag that she's kind of fastened together. Some berries and some fungi as well. Just so we'll be good food-wise. But other than that, I didn't find much.
Alrighty. Well, pull the compass out and look in front of us. Is there like a pretty clear path or?
Yeah. This area, as you get past their little alcove there, it's a little bit more open. You can go in a direction and you're just kind of climbing over things. Now, there's a little bit more that you're going to have to climb over on this leg versus before, but it's not so much as segmented as before, where you'd have to turn right for a little bit because there was no path ahead. Now it's a little bit more opened and you can climb on things and forward.
Okay.
By the time this is all done, you guys have gotten about 8 hours into your journey. You're only into about the afternoon. So at this point, you could probably pull another 8 and have to roll for some exhaustion just because you've got a chance to have some good time given how the layout is, but it might come at some cost. So you could either locally explore around or push for another full leg of the journey.
I'd like to do like an eye for detail check to see if is there a shorter path? Is there any clues, any notes, any hidden wonders as we're walking? 19.
In general, Feder, you know that when you're scouting, and when you've done some scouting before trying to get a lay of things, there's a little bit of mess that happens, and you have to kind of clean up after yourself, cover your tracks. Mm-hmm. And as soon as you get to about the 2 o'clock range, once you get to this deciding point, you do notice off to the side that maybe a scout or someone wasn't quite as good at covering their tracks of exploring the area. And you do see some evidence of a scouting, either a person or a couple people.
Right, Yusuf. It seems like we've got company. Should we make ourselves known to them, get rid of them, or should we proceed forward?
How many are there? I'm gonna roll a survival 17. Like when he shows me what's going on, like I'll use my whatever I can to track with survival to try and determine what I can about it.
As Feder points it all out to you, the one that stands out to you is just the movement. The boot prints are also not very wide, and they do seem to go off. You guys together kind of suss that there is a trackable way to get to whoever this person is.
Can we tell how many there are in the, like, are they walking single file or is it just one person?
You sense one person from both of your guys together. And then Yusuf, you came in and saw the boot prints. It's like, Yeah, the prints move around a lot, but the foot size seems to stay the same.
Is it a medium or a small?
Medium foot size.
Okay.
Not a very heavy set or wide person, maybe tall.
What's the stride?
Humanoid stride. A little bit longer, maybe a little bit taller, so more elf-like comparatively.
So we think possible, so taller than the Drogar.
Definitely. It's.
We thinking maybe drow? Elvish?
I'm thinking maybe an elf. Its stride seems a little long for, well, normal human at least. I wouldn't expect to see many humans down here.
So Loth country is what you're saying.
Can I roll to see if I know these tracks? See a difference between?
Sure.
I feel like I'd be able to, considering the amount of time I spent looking at a certain someone's feet over the years, I'd be able to tell if it was like elf or drow-esque.
Oh man. Oh yeah, we're finding out all sorts of stuff about Taslinn on this episode.
Right?
21. She's not into feet. I will say that, but she does spend a lot of time with somebody.
Sucking on some toes.
Oh,
It rings Drow Scout to you.
drow. Okay.
They're a bit light on their feet. They tend to have a little bit of a wider gait than most. Something that Nax has probably joked with you about before. Drow and some of their wider gait ain't that great.
You know what they say about wide set hips?
I just kind of like under my breath am like, wider gait, ain't that great? All right. And then
Yusuf just slowly turns his head.
What sort of nerd said that?
the tracks are drow. It's a drow scout.
Right, well,
Really?
do we want to scurry off in the way that we need to go? Or do we want to figure out who this is?
Well, if we do want to figure out who they are, we don't necessarily. It would be good if we weren't seen by them.
Yeah, so the Drider got the jump on us, but they were essentially attacking the train. They wouldn't actually know that it was us per se. And we dispatched all of them. So, I don't know. I leave it to the group. We know that it's been almost a day and a half of us walking, and we got to get to this fucking Titan and get to High Point and get to my mom, and I don't know. Do we just proceed forward or do we follow this? I leave it to the group, but I'm a bit anxious to get moving.
I agree. I wonder if maybe we keep going and look for a possible place to have them come to us rather than us possibly walking into a trap, because if we're just now noticing it, they might want us to notice it.
Right. The track's moving away from us, John.
Right, heading down towards, you see them go down a slope and start to head underneath this, like, rickety, broken rock bridge thing. These two stone stalagmites have, like, these broken rock bridges down there that are a little bit further northish of where you are, and it kind of goes down, and you can see the prints go down that way.
And I'll look at the compass, and this is deviated off the western path we want to head on, the direction he's going, or they're going.
Yeah, a little bit, but not by much.
I don't know. Leave it to the group. I point to Taslinn and I'm like, you're the one all messed up in all this drow business, particularly since Lace is no longer here. So, what are your thoughts? What do you think?
Well, if they're not hiding their tracks, it's either a trap or they're wanting to talk. But honestly, I think unless we absolutely knew that they were friendly, it's best to avoid. If they really want to talk to us, they'll find us.
I agree.
Sounds right to me. All right, onward and upward then.
Before we leave, I'm going to turn and look at Sunny. I'm like, did you see anyone on your excursion last night? Do you have any idea who this might be?
No, but I did see some tracks kind of circle about, but I didn't see anything else. There was one set. It seemed to kind of, it was just outside of our camp a little ways, but they disappeared. So I don't know. Maybe it could be that if these are, it could be anything really. I couldn't discern much about the prints.
I had the feeling I was being watched last night just for a little bit. I thought maybe it might have been an animal or something. But if you saw tracks like these around our camp, they very well could have been scouting us last night as well.
Are they known to just straight up attack? I haven't encountered too many in my time.
Would I have any knowledge of them with living with the gnomes, John?
Roll some history. And then, Taslinn, if you want to roll as well, you can add some expertise and help out with that.
Sure.
16.
I need to remember my history number. 21.
Generally, scouting parties tend to just get a lay of the land. And if they're not more of a dangerous Underdark creature or something that is more of a deeper threat, they might not engage. But if they are looking for information, they might bait that out and try to... they would be more likely to leave themselves open for a visit if it meant that they could talk, parlay, or something like that. So this could be that, but the fact that if they were there and didn't do anything, it could just be like they needed to know who was there. This is a route for drow or something. Or they were looking, making sure you weren't an Onkig or any other number of creature that can burrow, or a Umber Hulk or something like that. Or heaven help us, an Illithid.
They know we're here, but I stand by the whole thing of if they want to talk, they'll find us.
They'll come to us. Yeah,
I agree. I think we should keep moving.
Right, onward.
John, just for future reference, with that 16, like, would I have had any talk with the gnomes about them? Because considering we're protected from the outside, like attacks from within, like drow raids or something, that probably would have been something we talked about if they were in the area, since a lot of that stuff was underground.
If anything, those conversations tended to feel a lot more like old wives' tales or spooky ghost stories versus anything else.
Oh, okay.
Just because of where you're placed geographically, you wouldn't see drow pop up and attack, but that would be a story that could happen. That would be something to be concerned about, in which case, Chesterfield would probably joke that, like, fat lot of good this fucking barrier would do, and then make jokes about how you just came through anyways. Self-deprecation that hits you with a pang of nostalgia and sadness, as well as a hearty chuckle. But yeah, most of your stories of invading drow from the Underdark tend to be a little bit more ghost story. Maybe a little bit rooted and a lot more of just we don't know. We only have hearsay.
Okay. I was just curious what type of knowledge of, like, their tactics and stuff I would have, but probably not a ton from the sound of it.
No.
All right, cool.
Not necessarily.
Then yeah, I say we double back and keep going.
Now the question is, do you try to play at being stealthy? Because if you go down there, you can kind of walk down a bit south of these two rock outcroppings to get to a more of a stone bridge off to the west that leads you back down your path. You could do stealth if you wanted to not be detected, or if you wanted to continue to play this like back and forth, you could just walk and pass them by. It's up to you.
Nah, man, I'm stealthing all day.
Every day I'm stealthing.
Every day I'm stealthing.
Not great though. I only got a 12.
I'll let them stealth. I'm not good at it, and I have disadvantage at it, so I'm just gonna walk. Like, I will be the distraction for them to stealth.
Okay.
These fine human skin loafers do not do great in the Underdark.
I got a 21 on stealth.
21. Okay.
I feel like I'm slowly learning from Fetter, just gradually.
Sunny had a pretty decent. She was able to kind of follow in Fetter's footsteps there.
Actually,
in terms of roll.
In terms of that, he's gonna, like, before we start moving, he's gonna look at everybody and he's like, should we call this the bait and switch? That's a term, right? And, like, I'll just walk and you guys hop in the shadows. Just if we ever need to do this again.
Does that make you the master bait? And I slap him on the ass and walk past him.
Yusuf slowly shakes his head. He's like, I walked right into it. I walked right in.
Because if anything, the fact that everyone else rolled pretty good to really great in terms of their stealth, if anything, the numbers are masked, which is good. You're sitting in a good place, even if your general presence is noticed. Mm-hmm. It may not necessarily be that they have a number count on it.
I should say this, because he will try and stealth, because we all know it's not going to work. So it's like he'll make it look like he's trying.
And his cute little goat legs, his little like doo 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 doo.
Are you fucking me? Nat 20 and a 2. So
nice one.
He does not stealth with a 3. It's like, I know exactly what to do here. Clang, 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 clang.
Drag your sword on the ground all dramatic. Like, yeah, so you guys, maybe it takes 10, 15, 20 minutes before you feel at least good enough about your distance relative to them to stop a moment enough to decide, do you continue on for another full leg? This will take you through probably to evening time to get one more leg out of the way, and that gets you pretty close, but also runs the risk of some exhaustion because you've already done a full 8 hours.
Oh, this was at the end of the 8 hours when this happened?
Yeah.
I missed that.
I mean, what's around? Can we do like a survival check to see if there's like a decent place if we wanted to?
So actually, I have a couple questions. Mm-hmm. Question number 1, does each box represent an hour, John, or in your little timetable?
In the thing, yes. I generally keep it to about an hour for each box for my sake.
Second, when I was reading the book the other night with the ritual spells, did I actually manage to learn Tiny Hut?
Ooh.
Let me take a look.
Oh, yeah.
Because in Adept Arcanum, you were saying I got Rory's telepathic bond, Tiny Hut, and Identify. And I think instant summons? No, I'm looking at my notes.
I think you should be fine. If you were to move on, I would probably give you a little bit of a disadvantage on the exhaustion just because you spent more time studying. But because of that, I think the hut would be not unreasonable for you to achieve.
It would, if I did manage to do it, like the roof is a little wonky or the door's a little bit too small.
Yeah. There's still it's still a bit raw in the fact that it's not going to win any HGTV sort of award for best layman's tiny hut, or you're not going to be on Hut Hunters.
Oh, Hut Hunters.
Or anything like that. This week on Hut Hunters, we go to yet another person who has attempted Leoman's tiny hut. Let's see how well they did. Oh, it's a shack. Okay, we're moving on. It may be a little bit more raw, but
there's a little bit of a glitch in the feed. You see Jabba sitting there for a second, and then it goes back to
just down there raw hutting.
Wrong system. Oh, raw hutting.
Oh boy, raw hutting. All right.
Well, do we want to look around for a space, or I pull out the book, or I can try this new spell? It makes us a hut.
Now, when you say hut,
yeah, what does that mean?
Yeah, Sunny just turns her head slowly in your direction as of like a what?
Like a shack, or like a magical bubble, or a tiny hole we can crawl into?
I open the book and show them the page that has a little shack, maybe crude drawing of a little shack.
Interesting.
Looks like it's on stilts, but then you see it's actually got feet, or
I'm sure it's bigger on the inside. It seems like that's what it's written for.
Sure.
That's what he said.
Yusuf, nice job.
He kind of smiles
Do we want to... here's a question. Have I seen any more tracks around on our walk? Of the drow variety?
No more from where you are. So if anything, the more localized ones you saw were from the group you left behind.
Okay.
But you don't see anything else that's new or anything like that. You see a few animal tracks and a few scuttling snakes and other creatures. You see a bit more lively nature down here and proof of that, but no other scouting or indicators of actual humanoids around, at least for this local immediate area.
Forward then for a bit? What do you think? I'm fine to keep walking for a little bit, see if we get to somewhere.
I feel like we could be at full capacity for whatever is coming up. I'm fine stopping now.
Okay. Let's see this hut, Taz. And I just lean back against the wall and light up a smoke.
Okay. Sure. I'll sit down, kind of cross-legged, and be like, it's gonna take a second. More like 10 minutes. But
she says that, and Yusuf will take up a spot protecting the way we came.
Okay.
And just kind of guard her while she does this.
I'll put the book down at my feet and kind of, do some stretching and some wiggling, getting ready for the spell casting, and then I'll dive into reading the spell and doing the ritual and all of that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's exciting doing a new spell for the first time, and you haven't had many of those lately. So having this first time, it just fills you with a sense of excitement. New spell smell, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it.
New spell smell.
Love it.
And yeah, the hut starts to form. And by the time the 10 minutes are done, you guys can kind of see, well, for now, Taslinn, you can see it, this dome of force starts to form around. And with a nice little air escaping, ceiling, this hut appears before you.
I think I knew a Leomund once. Real weird fella. Turned my best brick pile into a magical hut and spent a week in there with 3 other magical jerkwads. Didn't even tip me for the inconvenience. Anyway, it's clear that this place will not be getting any fucking chairs anytime soon, so that's my cue to leave. I'll be over across the street at the competing establishment if you want to hear any more of these Demon Dayz.
I'm rolling, and I'm ready to do
I guess
countdown
I am doing
when
that
you guys
now.
are good.
Yes. Yes.
Rolling,
Cool.
rolling.
All right, folks, back to one.
All right, rawhide. All right, so it'll be 3, 2, 1, and clap. Drew, you ready?
Yep.
All right.
Soft hands.
All right, 3, 2, 1, and clap.
That's the closest it's ever been.
Okay.
There's sound on mine.
I think we'll.
It took it a second
okay.
to like move down, but there's sound.
Okay.
I think there's sound on mine too.
Apparently, Abby is trying to do the direwolf impression over here for us.
What are these mushrooms? Arf, arf. Time to scry. Taslinn scrying. Time to scry.
Should make a little theme song for Taslinn Scry Time.
Scry time.
Scry. I don't know.
Like an eagle at the end. Crow.
Yeah.
Yusuf is such a basic bitch on most levels. Like it's just like his stats are just not great, and he's just doing the best he can, folks.
Oh.
Well,
Just trying to get by.
But in battle, he swings a sword and two-shots somebody very often. So
I mean,
Yeah, it's true.
there is that, like, he does pull his weight when he needs to, but it's just like for the out of combat stuff, it's just like I'll be over here. Just let me know what you need.